Hey everyone, I'm Nicole,
And I'm Gabrielle.
and we are the hosts of the Spiritual Sisters podcast.
Join us every week as we discuss all the spiritual topics like astrology, mediumship, psychic insights, and so much more.
We are often joined by others we have met along our spiritual journey who are well versed in many of these areas.
Get ready for enlightening discussions and interviews and personal experiences that we hope will expand your mind and get you thinking outside of the box.
Whether you're a seasoned spiritual seeker or just beginning your spiritual journey, there's something here for everyone.
Check us out every Tuesday wherever you get your podcasts. See you then.
Bye!
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Soul Ecosystem podcast. I am your host, Anna Rising, and on this podcast, we discuss all things soul contracts. I work with a modality that combines Jewish mysticism, tarology, astrology, and numerology to calculate your soul contract, which is the agreement that you made before incarnating into this lifetime. On this podcast, we usually take a look at celeb soul contracts, and the celeb that we are going to be looking into today is Freddie Mercury. And the idea for this came about when I was a guest on the Spiritual Sisters podcast. Shout out to Gabby and Nicole. Gabby asked me what band or singer I would want to hear live, dead or alive or something, and I said Freddie Mercury, no doubt. He is known for his 4-octave vocals. He is one of the most celebrated performers in rock history, and just a huge vocal talent. He was just made to be a rock star. And just in case you are not familiar with Freddie Mercury, he was the lead vocalist, pianist, and lyricist of Queen, a British rock band. And I wanted to take some time to look into his soul contract to give you guys an idea of how his soul contract mirrored what he experienced in real life, what kind of subconscious programs were running for him, and what kind of gifts he incarnated with that helped him rise to the level of fame and success that he rose to. So let's get started. So Freddie Mercury was born Farrokh Bulsara. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering his name. And he was born on September 5th, 1946 in Stone Town, Zanzibar, which is now Tanzania. He passed away November 24th, 1991 in London, England at the age of 45. He was of Parsi Indian descent and raised in Zanzibar, and later India before he moved to England in his teens. As an immigrant in the UK, he faced racism in his teenage years, cultural isolation, and struggled financially, especially early on in his band days. Now, the main numbers that we are working with when it comes to Freddie Mercury's personality kind of give you a look behind the mask, behind the persona that is Freddie Mercury, and show a person that really values traditions, really values rules, and family. This is somebody that usually is great with children, likes to be something of a mentor, likes to educate others, and has really good public speaking abilities. Usually people with very strong 5 energy in their chart choose to go into teaching, choose to go into law, or into government jobs because they're excellent at logical thinking, and they thrive where there are strict boundaries and rules set in place. The next number we have for Freddie Mercury is the number 9. The number 9 loves to be self-sufficient. This is a person that loves to be independent, to do things on their own. They're a bit of a workhorse. They're a bit of an ambitious personality. They prefer privacy rather than big crowds. This is somebody that's more introverted than extroverted, but people are drawn to them. People are drawn to the energy of a 9. And the 9s are kind of like so not nonchalant about it. They're almost like, like I don't want the attention, like please get out of my face. They're kind of aware of the appeal that they have, the magnetism that they have, but they kind of don't want it. They don't care for it. They just want to be left alone. They just want to have their own private life. Unfortunately, the negative side of the number 9 is that it can lead to some self seclusion. It can make a person kind of hermit up. They can start getting really distrustful of other people and doubt people that have stood by them, who are loyal to them for a while. They kind of have this tendency to get down on themselves and become very suspicious of others. And 9s don't really like to be completely alone. This kind of gives me almost like cat energy. They don't want to be alone in the room. They want you to be in the room with them, but keep your own distance, like keep them at a distance. This is the energy of the number 9. It's like, don't touch me, don't be in my space, but be in the same room with me. Just be next to me. This is the energy that comes off of people with the number 9 in their charts. And this kind of pushing people away may make other people feel like they don't want their company. They don't want to be next to them. But there's this real fear of abandonment in the number 9 that does that pushing away. People with the number 9 may send mixed messages to others and confuse others when they don't want to be all buddy-buddy, but still want that person to hang around. Usually, people with the 9 energy in their soul contracts find partners, find spouses much later on in life because they take relationships very seriously. And again, they have this ambition and are ruled by their logic. So they may forget to kind of stop sometimes and make time for relationships, make time for other people. And this makes them feel like they shouldn't start a relationship they can't really finish, so to speak, because they know that they're prone to kind of bouncing in and out, appearing and disappearing in people's lives, and that's not very stable. There's a lack of stability on their part that they cannot provide in a relationship, so they usually opt out until later on in life. So that kind of paints a very different picture than who you would think Freddie Mercury is when you see his performances, listen to his music. This doesn't seem like somebody that likes rules, that likes logic, that follows logic. It more so feels like Freddie Mercury kind of goes to the beat of his own drum, that he is above societal rules, societal standards, and he just paved his way forth. And in very real sense, he was a trailblazer. And we're going to see a little bit of that in his chart, in the rest of his chart. In regards to his previous life was one where he was in a position of power, and this is actually the same past life that Taylor Swift had, which is another huge household name, right? So it was very likely that he was also very well known in his past life. Except in this past life, he didn't make the right decisions. There were certain circumstances where he may have rushed to decisions, rushed to taking sides too quickly, and ended up screwing some people over. So in this lifetime, he's making up for this. He's making up for this karma. And we can see that in the very first subconscious program that pops up in his chart that is running for him. And we see that in the very first subconscious program that pops up in his chart, which is the High Spiritual Unification Mission. People that have this program in their soul contract are people that were meant to attract others to themselves, unite them in some shape or form, usually to inspire, usually to call to action, usually to make an impact on a group of people, on those around them. And people with this program are really good at coming up with ideas, really good at communication, really good at having a natural charisma to them. They also have this energy, this unexplainable energy of unifying others. And the stronger the person's internal energy is that they kind of channel from, the more they bring people in. So much so that it could have a global effect, which is exactly what Freddie Mercury did. He was able to channel himself into his music so strongly, channel his energy so strongly that he united people from all around the world with his music. Another subconscious program that was running for Freddie Mercury is the Pure Stream program. And this is a highly spiritual program. For people with the Pure Stream program, they are very big on being conductors of positive energy. They're big on guiding others, teaching them, gathering like-minded people around them, and have this beautiful simplicity and kindness to them that makes that very easy for them to do. This almost becomes their superpower because they're so good at being this ray of light, especially for others in darkness. What's also interesting is, like Taylor Swift, Freddie Mercury has the Revenge program. And I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with the Revenge program because the Revenge program tells me two things. It tells me that this person will use all of the bad things that anybody has said against them, they will use it to fuel them. They will make it their drive. They will use all of the naysaying, all of the bullying, all of the toxic stuff that has been thrown on them since childhood. They will use it to get to their goal. And they will do it in a way like, I'm going to prove them wrong, like I'm going to make them regret saying that to me. And they have this kind of, they might fantasize a little bit about finally reaching the top and then other people coming and like begging them to like include them or like apologizing for saying something negative about them. So on one hand, they use their pain and they turn it into their power. But on the other hand, there is this intention of doing it for the wrong reasons, which I think many people are able, once they get to the top, once they get to the point where like, okay, I've proven them wrong, now what? I feel like there is this moment of self-reflection where a person can go, I don't feel any better. But at the time, they used it, they needed that motivation, they needed that kick in the butt to kind of get themselves going, to get themselves out of the rut that they found themselves in. So again, I have a love-hate relationship with that program. Now, one of the things that I love about Freddie Mercury's chart is that there's not a lot of subconscious programs running for him, and there's no programs that are especially heavy. There is a program that speaks to him being able to accumulate things well. It could be experience, knowledge, money. This person is very excellent at being able to make a good fortune and pass it on to their family or friends. When it comes to talents, when it comes to spiritual gifts in his soul contract, we see a lot of talents that are very spiritually focused. From his maternal line, we see some talents of potential and the world talent. From his paternal line, we see the ancestors' talent, which is a connection to his heritage, a connection to his ancestry that he is able to channel. And we also see a talent of relationships. So, this combination of these very spiritually minded talents, as well as potential in the world talent, which is a talent where the person has the opportunity to travel the world to make a difference globally, is very telling of the kind of impact that Freddie Mercury was born to leave. Now, one of the things I look at, especially when a person passed before their time, is the numerology for the year that they passed away. Freddie Mercury was 45 years old when he passed, and he has 3 numbers for the numerology of that year. The first being the number 11. The positive aspects of the number 11 for that year is a lot of productive activity, a lot of endurance, hard effort in work, in business, a lot of movement. Now, the negative side of the number 11 is a lack of energy, health, weakness, diseases, depression, loss of strength, and the collapse of everything. The next number we look at is the number 19, which is when it's in a positive, it's an emotional uplift. This is a time to enjoy simple things, to treat their inner child. It's a great time to build relationships with family, with siblings that they may not have seen for a while. And some positives that might come out of that is great family relationships, great love and friend relationships. The negative of that is a loss of joy in life, not being able to celebrate things, even little things, excessive pride, greed, or pettiness. Lastly, the number we see for that year for him is the number 3. And 3 is like one of the best numbers to see. It's all about promotions, growth. This is the time that things kind of just explode for you. Things progress, your business succeeds, there's new beginnings and so much potential. The negatives of that may be that there's issues with the family, problems with jealousy, cheating in relationships, problems with money, financial stability, even possibly bankruptcy. And since Freddie Mercury passed from his failing health, we can see the downside of that first number, the strongest energy in that year for him, the number 11, with the negative sides of it being bad health, weakness, loss of strength. Overall, I think this soul contract is such a beautiful testament to Freddie Mercury's character, to who he was as a person. He was very calculating, he was very smart, and he knew exactly what he was doing. There wasn't this impulsivity to him. He was very rooted in logic, and he was very loyal. He valued the relationships that he had in his life. And by the looks of his soul contract, he was able to fulfill his mission, fulfill why he incarnated to be Freddie Mercury. He was able to unite people from all over the world, from different points in time. People still play his music decades after his passing. The kind of effect that he left on the world shaped so much of music in general. And I wonder how much different it would look without his impact on the music industry. That is all I have for you guys from Freddie Mercury's Soul Contract. Those were the things that stood out the most to me. If you have any favorite celebs that you want me to look into, to dive into their soul contracts, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, and as always, if you want to get your own soul contract, you can always visit thesoulecosystem.com or my Etsy shop at The Soul Ecosystem. Let me know what you guys think about this side to Freddie Mercury that I didn't expect. I expected him to be very airy and not as grounded as he was. For some reason, I had this rock star image of him where he was so impulsive and maybe like almost had this Peter Pan syndrome, but he was very rooted, very intentional, and very spiritual. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. Join us next Friday for the next episode of the Soul Ecosystem podcast. Have a wonderful weekend.